Hey everybody, this is a clip from the latest episode of the Randi Rhodes Show. If you want the full episode, you can watch live on Free Speech TV, Dish Channel 9415, DirectTV 348, Sling, Roku, and AppleTV.
The Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The wealth tax is important in both parts. It's critical for raising revenue, and that revenue is critical for raising opportunity, because that's what this is really about. Right now, we live in an America that is so tilted toward the rich and the powerful. The top 0.1% are paying last year about 3.2% of their total wealth in taxes. The 99% paid about 7.2% of their total wealth. In other words, more than half. And when the top is not paying a fair share, that's how we end up as a nation that's not making an investment in universal childcare and universal pre-K. An America that's not making an investment in our young people who are trying to get an education, K-12, and post-high school, in technical school, and two-year college, and four-year college. It's about making sure that we're a country that doesn't just work for a tiny little thin slice at the top, but a country that genuinely is investing in opportunity so that all of our kids have a chance to build a strong future. That's what it's about.
So Shecky Cruz, I'm sure, is down with this plan, right? After he just did, 20 minutes of shtick at, Comic-Con there. Really, Shecky thinks he's advocate. So this is money that should be invested in childcare and early education and K through 12 and infrastructure, all of which are President Biden and Democrats in Congress. This is the priority, okay? And just so you have some real numbers to work with, okay? According to Bloomberg News, the 100 richest Americans during this pandemic added $598 billion to their fortunes last year. 8 million Americans were thrown into poverty through no fault of their own, and the top 100 richest Americans added almost $600 billion to their fortune last year. When I tell you that a 2-cent tax on every dollar over 50 million would raise $78 billion, do you understand what percentage that represents of the top 100's $598 billion? 13%. That's 13%. They would still be able to add to their fortunes, in case anybody in this audience feels badly for them. They would still be able to add to their fortunes, their vast fortunes. The reason we need a wealth tax is because we are taxed from cradle to grave on everything we own. We pay income tax. We pay tax on consumer transactions. Sales taxes are regressive. They hit the poor and the middle class much harder than they hit the rich, okay, as a percentage of their income. And then if you're lucky enough to own property like a primary house in this country, you pay property taxes. Only 7% of the top 1% is tied to personal real estate holdings. Their money makes money for them. And that money that makes money for them is taxed at a lower rate than our work that makes money for us. So of course it's tilted, and it's tilted because of the Republicans' policies over the last 40 years. I keep telling you that for the last 40, 50 years, trickle down has been tried and has failed miserably. Okay, miserably. The wealth tax that Elizabeth Warren is proposing would affect a total of about 100,000 families. That's fewer than 1 in 1,000, okay? It would raise $252 billion in 2023 and $3 trillion over 10 years is what it would raise. And with that money, we would be able to finance new opportunities, like building things, like a green, economy. It would actually require green infrastructure. It would require new grids. It would require charging stations. It would require all kinds of wind turbines, and factories would be built. It would create millions and millions of good paying jobs, and we could have union shops building those things and decent salaries for everybody. That's how you finance opportunity in America. The money has to come from somewhere, and that's where it needs to come from. Now, I got to tell you that from 1980, from the Reagan years to 2016, the real wealth of all Americans, okay, grew about 2% every year. The top 1/10 of 1%, 7% every year. That's because we have policies in this country that are tilted toward the most wealthy people in it. And let's not forget that, the more money you have, the more likely you are to find tax avoidance strategies. And tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is illegal. But avoidance is legal. And there are so many things built into the tax code that allow a legal avoidance of taxes if you can afford, to put your money in certain places to avoid taxation. Now, I know some people go, well, then the wealthy will leave. Well, she thought of that, Elizabeth Warren did. And so what she's put into the wealth tax is a 40% exit tax. If you decide that you don't want your fortune taxed in the United States to help finance opportunity for everybody else in this country, if you don't think that paying 2 cents on every dollar over 50 million is a good investment for you, fine, you can leave, you can go. But there's a 40% exit tax. When you take whatever amount out of this country, you will pay 40%. Yeah, she thought about that. She did. So how do we implement this?
Remember the way that the wealth tax is built. It says if your fortune is below $50 million, nothing. We're not talking to you. If it's above 50 million, your 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents, 2 cents for every dollar above that. You hit $1 billion in assets, you got to pitch in a few pennies more. The nice thing about the way it's set up is we learned from some of the mistakes they made in Europe. So this version of the wealth tax says it covers all of your property. Doesn't matter whether it's held in stock or in real estate or in racehorses. Everything is covered. So there's no point in moving property around. Also, wherever you hold it, it is covered, whether you hold it here in the U.S., whether you hold it in the Cayman Islands. And remember, we are already valuing property. We do it at death. We value all real estate every year for real estate taxes. And valuing stock is not very hard. So I think we've kind of got the implementation part of this locked down.
Yeah, me too. Let's do it. Hey everybody, this is a clip from the latest episode of the Randi Rhodes Show. If you want the full episode, you can watch live on Free Speech TV, Dish Channel 9415, DirectTV 348, Sling, Roku, and Apple TV.